Hi guys, welcome back to AFTV and welcome back to the Tactical Insight Show. I'm here with Graham. These shows are getting more fun every week because, hey, there's always great, tactical stuff to break down, but also some wins and some goals. So, contrast it to the opening three of the season, which were a real struggle. Graham, how are you?
Feeling better, mate. I've had a very difficult last week. I've been a bit under the weather.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Picked up for the weekend. Arsenal lifted my mood on Saturday with that great performance. Tottenham improved it even further with their performance on Saturday night, and looking forward to come up here, break it down with you today. But as we came up today, breaking news is that Tottenham have sacked their manager, Nuno Dispirited Santo, which we did say that it was going to be our Sakako last week, didn't we? And this is an Arsenal.
I've never heard Nuno Dispirited Santo before.
I feel for him, I feel for him.
It was never the job for him. I feel they kind of threw him under the bus a little bit, but yeah.
Who would have thought he would
was doing a terrible job.
He would have inherited the England striker going AWOL.
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
And he wasn't the right fit for Tottenham, though.
No, and it looks like they're going to get Antonio Conte. Obviously, depending on when you're watching this,
he's got fed up with waiting for Man United. He's decided to downgrade.
Let's get the digs in now, because he will inevitably make them a better side.
He will.
But listen, a discussion for another day. We're obviously here to talk about a very, very good result. Arguably, in terms of the opposition, games that you think Arsenal could win, but you're not sure if they're going to. This is arguably our toughest test, because I don't think anyone expected us to do anything against Chelsea, nor did they against City. In this, there's always a degree of expectation Arsenal can do something. Yeah. And boy, did they deliver. Let's go through some of the pre-match context, as we always love to do. I've got my notes here. All great stuff you've sent me over. It's our longest, we are in the top three for longest unbeaten runs going into match day 10. Obviously, Liverpool with 19, City with 8, Arsenal with 7. Arsenal's unbeaten run stretches to 6 in the league and 8 in all competitions. Arsenal hadn't kept a clean sheet in their last 8 Premier League meetings with Leicester. And that our record at Leicester obviously isn't great, despite winning 3-1 there last season, but we have had some really tricky games and a lot of drop points there as well. How are you feeling going into this game?
I think this was an important game for Arteta. This is the team that we're being judged against, because this is a team, I think, directly competing for us for one of those European places. So to beat them, I think, will be a big statement. So it was a massive game for us. Leicester are, let's face it, under Rodgers, a very good side.
Yeah.
No doubt. They will argue missing Ndidi going into this game is a massive player for them. Arsenal, Tierney not travelling.
Yeah.
And I was pleased to say that he kept the same side that put in that fantastic performance against Aston Villa's. Players were rewarded for their performance. And I think that's how it should be, James. So a massive test against a team directly competing with us for a European space.
And what's great about it, he was able to rest and rotate in midweek, get the comfortable 2-0 win there. And then, as you said, reward the players for a great performance against Villa and build on it. And a lot of the intensity was the same, a lot of the patterns. We're going to go into all that because there's a lot of stuff to analyse and really enjoy about Arsenal's performance. Let's look at the raw numbers though. As we know, the match stats, they don't always tell the picture. We say that a lot on this show. I think these might be the most misleading stats I've ever seen.
You said that last week.
I think so. Well, these for me are the most misleading in terms of it makes it look like a smash and grab, let's be honest. It makes it look like a smash and grab. And actually, I thought for about 65 minutes of that game, Arsenal were in total control. What's your kind of impression looking at those?
Look, I agree with you. When you look at those stats, it's slightly misleading. I think my impression of it was a pretty good away performance.
It was. I thought it was a great away performance.
A resilient defensive performance is what we've asked for. Mm-hmm. A very brave performance, the way we played the high line at the start. And we started fast. Mm-hmm. I think the one thing I've taken out of the last few games under Arteta is that he's got the team drilled going out onto the pitch to start fast, to be brave. We've got Gabriel and White now up high, who can make the recoveries if needed.
Yeah. And
this was brave against Leicester, let's face it, because they've got Jamie Vardy, who loves to play in behind. So this was brave to actually go into that game playing a high line, and obviously the high intensity press, which we've seen in the previous games, was very active again, James.
And the 11 that went out, as we said, we've touched on it, but let's have a little look at it because we've got the Leicester 11 as well. Obviously, we, stuck with the 4-4-2 as we've seen. They went with a system that we absolutely tore apart against Villa. Was that a surprise for you?
Not really. I think they've been playing that way in recent weeks. They've lost two of their defenders, Pereira and the centre back, Fonfana.
Oh, Fofana, of course. Yeah.
And obviously with Nadini missing as well. So and the lad they got in his place is not of the same quality. But for all that, it's still a strong side. I just think this system we play, 4-4-2, is well suited to play against three at the back. And I think, so in a way, I think Rodgers, we saw the way he changed it tactically in the second half when he went more to a 4-2-3-1, gave us more problems. But at the start, I thought this suited us, the way they played, in much the same way as the way Aston Villa played. He found a system of 4-4-2 to work against a 3-4-1-2, and I think that carried on. It was a continuation in this game at the start.
I agree. On the back of looking quite blunt against back threes, which we saw against Brentford, against Chelsea, against Brighton, it's refreshing that Arteta's figured out a system that is causing that back three more problems and is making us look like we can score goals when we go forward.
Yeah, I agree 100%, and I think he has done that in the last two games. Lacazette being pivotal the way he makes this system work, and I think again he played a key role at the start on Saturday.
Absolutely. Now let's break this down from a tactical perspective. You mentioned the fast start. You mentioned the press. Let's break that down a little bit more, because the fast start has become a theme. Yes, Villa and Leicester, comfortable wins, good wins, we're going to notice that. But even against Palace, not just because we scored in the 9th minute or whatever, but it's about the intensity. And I think the biggest disappointment from the Palace game was how much we dropped off. Now, I was sitting next to Julian at the Leicester game at the King Power, and when we went 1-0 up, I turned to Julian and I said, I have one fear, and it's that we might have scored a bit too early. Against Villa, obviously that goal didn't come as early, but against Palace it did. And what I liked was that we maintained a degree of intensity, we maintained the press, which you're going to break down for us, but the fast start is something that we're both very happy with.
Yeah, I think this is very important. I think over the last few years watching Arsenal, I've always criticised the club for not starting fast. I think even last season on Arteta we started always slow, too passive.
Yeah.
But if anything, we made Leicester look passive on Saturday, and I think the pressing leads the way in the way he wants us to play now. And I think in the last few games he's demonstrated right from the start he wants players to press from the front. Aubameyang and Lacazette, the two old war horses you might call them, leading that. And I think the intensity sets the tone for the whole performance in the way.
Let's illustrate this on the tactical pad then, because we've got Aubameyang, we've got Lacazette. Now, you felt Evans was crucial to all this as well.
Yeah, I watched that. I looked at a few heat maps, and also I looked at what we did at the start. I watched the game back a couple of times, and I noticed at the start we were quite happy for Leicester to have the ball. So we were sort of like in a 4-4-2 at the start. If you move Smith Rowe and Saka slightly back, that's right, to the halfway line. I think that's the way we sat at the start, and I think Aubameyang and Lacazette were positioned up here between the three centre-backs.
Yeah.
And I thought the trigger for me was when Johnny Evans got the ball.
Yeah.
And I think what happened was Aubameyang will push over to the right-hand side onto one of the centre-backs over there, Amate, is it?
Onto Amate, yeah.
Yeah. And Aubameyang would push over onto the other centre-back. And so Evans would get the ball.
Right.
And that's what, when he got the ball, that was like the press, almost like the trigger point for the press. You had Smith Rowe then pushing up onto the right wing back. You had Saka pushing up onto the left wing back. And then you had our two midfielders pushing up onto their central midfielders. So that was, to me, like the press at the start. We let Evans have the ball. I noticed in the heat maps that he had a lot of the ball at the start, so we weren't bothered about him having the ball almost. Yeah. I think they probably identified him as probably being the weaker passer, possibly. I think sometimes you look at teams, I know when they used to look at Arsenal, they were quite happy for Socrates when it was Socrates and Luiz at the back. They didn't want, if Luiz had the ball, he wasn't who they pressed against, it was always Socrates. And I think we did the same here. We identified Evans as a weak point. So we squeezed them up high at the start in this sort of shape.
Right, so the back four come forward.
Yeah, the back four come, and then White and Gabriel literally push up to the halfway line. We're literally up. They're pushing back now. And what we want them to do really is Evans to have the ball. He's got no one really to pass it to because all the passing lanes are blocked off. it goes invariably back to Schmeichel, and then he's going to like punt it long. We're trying to catch him offside or get the ball back that way. So it stops them from building their play.
Can you press like this without having dynamism in your team? White very fast, Gabriel very fast. On the recovery, there are times where Leicester were trying to go long, and they couldn't do it because White and Gabriel were so quick to win the header back to Ramsdale. There was one moment that I really liked where White didn't quite win the header, but did enough to keep away from Vardy, and then Gabriel swept up. You know, can you do that without dynamism? So Lokonga and Partey, and I'm not going to mention you-know-who in midfield who plays sometimes because people get on me, but Lokonga and Partey, they're quick, they're tenacious, they're dynamic. And I feel like you can't truly press and dominate midfielders like Tielemans and Soumare if you, or stop Iheanacho and Vardy if you don't have that pace and athleticism in the team.
Exactly, and that's exactly what we didn't have last year, was it? We didn't have athleticism. What he's done quite cleverly, I think, Arteta, also he's keeping the spaces smaller. Right. So literally you're squeezing the pitch, smaller spaces, and I think also that gives you better combinations when you get the ball. You can sort of like, there's always someone to pass to. So that's another advantage of sort of squeezing the space, keeping the spaces smaller together. But you do need energy and dynamism in this to play this way. I agree 100%, and we've got that because we've got a very young team now. Yeah. And Lacazette and Aubameyang are working awfully hard. It's not something you can maintain.
Really hard.
I think it's something you can maintain for 20, 30 minutes. And I think what we did quite cleverly was we pressed them high, stopped them from playing out, got our set play, and got our goal from the set play. Then we turned over possession when they were really wasteful. Maddison was wasteful when they were pushing forward. Capitalised on the counter-attack, which we're going to show that goal later to get our second goal. And by then, playing this way had done its job. We literally got 2 goals up in an away game, forcing the play early on. And then I think you can drop off more into a defensive shape, which is what we did for the rest of the first half. We managed the game out of possession better because we got the fast start, got the 2 goals, had something to hang on to, and then we could sort of like drop further back more. But I was really impressed because, make no mistake, Vardy has got a tremendous record against Arsenal, 11 goals in 13 appearances. Yeah. And his pace in behind has worried us in previous games.
Massively.
But what I think we did really well in this first half was we pressed them high at the top, stopped them from playing out, and then when we dropped back, we literally came into a very narrow shape. Yeah. I don't know if you can go back to the tactile board again, James.
Yeah, let's have a look. Yeah.
But so what you'd see as we then defended in a 4, we literally defended our penalty box. If you can put the 4 defenders back there.
Absolutely.
And then Smith Rowe and Saka would, as these wing backs would come forward. But now we're 2 goals up. The wing backs are coming forward when they are attacking. So we like defending now in a 6, right? Yeah. So that's how we defended with our 2-goal lead. I think another key to the performance was the performance of Lokonga. Yeah. Now Lokonga was clearly tasked with looking after Tielemans. Yeah. Now Maddison was playing at 10 for them, but Tielemans is the one. Even when you looked at his heat map on Saturday, he's literally all over the pitch. But I think Lokonga had a real specific task to man mark him, to go with him. So Lokonga wasn't probably as smooth in possession as he was against Aston Villa, but he performed a real unsung hero performance for the team. Yeah. The way he literally followed Tielemans everywhere. They're both Belgian colleagues, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
And I think he put in a real good shift against Tielemans. But that's the way we defended. And I think the most of the first half, we got our 2 goals and we defended this shape. I think if you look at Vardy and Iheanacho, they literally are like a 2 up front, but Iheanacho was dropping more back into midfield to try and get the ball, because there was no space between the lines. The penalty box was literally crowded with our 4-man defence. We were defending very narrow. Vardy and Iheanacho couldn't get any spaces between the lines. Vardy was, if you look at that, Vardy there's not a lot of space between the defences.
Well, I was going to say, this yellow space here was incredibly congested.
Yeah, so we've literally blocking off their chances of getting in behind. So. Start of the game, 2 ways we played that first half. Up high first 20 minutes, intense pressing, forcing errors, got our goals through the high press and bravery by playing a high line, got the 2-goal lead, and then dropped back more into a shape, blocking off in a very narrow, compact formation to stop them getting space in behind and stopping them space in front. Maddison was literally moving all over the place to find pockets. He couldn't get on the ball. And so we blocked him out as well. So I thought tactically in the first half, Arteta got it right.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. And actually, you've done a great job of breaking down from a defensive perspective. I really also wanted to give some credit to Arsenal from an attacking perspective. And I sort of put this together, and again, it's always different from game to game. And I appreciate that because we're not creating exact movements. But I wanted to show Arsenal's, we call it asymmetrical build-up. When I look at them, and it's a 4-4-2, and a 4-4-2 can look a very balanced but boring shape at times. But what I really like, and we touched on it last week, is that Arteta isn't compromising. He's not compromising hugely on his principles and what he wants to do going forward. And if I just play this along, I've just got the players moving into essentially in a shape in possession where we've pointed out many times that Tavares, the left back, whether it's him or Tierney, gets forward more than Tomiyasu. You have more of a back three. Partey and Lokonga will kind of dominate midfield. We used to see Lokonga or Xhaka drift to the left, but we're not seeing that as much. But what I've also really enjoyed is almost just the little combinations we're seeing between Lacazette and Saka. We know Saka's got the pace to get in behind, and Lacazette at times in that first half especially was drifting over to the right to receive possession from Partey, was trying to be the link man, and Saka would stretch Thomas or ask questions of Soyuncu with his pace. But at the same time, you had the complete opposite on the other end, where Tavares is providing the width, Smith Rowe's coming in field, which we know he loves to do, and Aubameyang stretching the back four in a different way. And I just like that across the pitch we're asking different questions of the Leicester back four. And again, while in a lot of ways a 4-4-2 might look light in midfield, might feel like a medieval football's formation at times, you can really compact the midfield with Lokonga, Partey, Smith Rowe and Lacazette there. And I just enjoyed it. I thought it was just worth highlighting that away at Leicester, a very good side, even with a 4-4-2, we found a way to dominate in key areas.
Yeah, I think you broke it down really well there. And also, I like the way Tavares sometimes came infield to
yes, he did. Yeah, when he saw the space, he went for it.
Yeah. So Lacazette was dropping deep sometimes on the right, and Tavares was coming inside. We built up at times in a 2-4-4, which we talked about last week. But at times, sometimes it was Gabriel White in the penalty box, Tavares out on the left, built up in a 3 from the back.
Yeah, exactly.
There was different ways to build up, and I think credit to Arteta. I think we criticised the way he overcoaches us, or he has done in the past in attack, but clearly this is so well coached now, the way we play out, the way we build up our play. And I think also with Smith Rowe and Saka out wide now in the wide positions, and Lacazette and Aubameyang in the team in this 4-4-2 shape, there's more flexibility, I think, in the way they build up. And I think probably now, you could argue that he's allowing players to just feel the moment, to express themselves and play freer.
Absolutely.
In this shape. And I think credit to him here. We criticise him if we think he, that it's overcoached, but I don't think you can say this is now. I think definitely he's made an imprint not only on the team but on the style of play.
Yeah, I completely agree. Second half, we're going to talk about the goals, guys, don't worry, we'll get to them. But from just a shape perspective, a tactical perspective again, which is what we're touching on here, second half, Leicester really come flying out. I felt first 30 minutes we dominated, last 15 minutes that first half, they came into it but pretty comfortable. Second half, they really come flying out the blocks, and for 20-25 minutes, I thought we did ride our luck a little bit. But Arteta sensed something quite early and made a change. That was the introduction of Odegaard. You were impressed by his performance, even though it wasn't his best on the ball. It was the difference he made tactically.
Yeah, I think he did make a difference. I think if you look at the start of that second half, James, I think it was always going to be a test for our defence, because Leicester had to do something. Rodgers had to do something. He played the 3-4-1-2. Wasn't working, so he literally flipped it to a 4-2-3-1 second half.
Yeah.
And what he did was he brought on 2 wide players, Harvey Barnes, who's a very underrated and a good player, I like him, and Lookman in wide areas. Now, what that did to us is it did change certain things for us, because it meant that our fullbacks then, literally, who were narrow in the first half, had wingers up against them in the second half. Because Smith Rowe and Saka, who were taking care of wing backs in the first half up high, were now taking care of full-backs not so high, although their full-backs did support the attack, of course. But I think it drew out our full-backs into wide areas that then created the space in those areas which we blocked off in the first half, and they had the 2 or 3 great chances in the second half. Thomas very early on got in with a left foot shot
Yes.
in a gap that wasn't there in the first half. Harvey Barnes went through.
That's a very good point.
And Ramsdale made one of his 8 saves in the game. Don't worry, we are going to talk about that. We are going to get to that Ramsdale save, aren't we?
Of course we are.
But they started creating problems for us because of this change of shape. So the 4-4-2, which works well against the 3-4-1-2, wasn't quite working so well against this 4-2-3-1. I think credit to Arteta again, he noticed it straight away. Lacazette was dropping back, but Lacazette is not a midfield player who can beat the press. So what he wanted was Odegaard to come on and offer not only a midfield option to match up in midfield, but carry the ball, drive us up the pitch more. And I see him giving instructions to Odegaard. I noticed he was pointing areas where he wanted him to go, and I think that was almost like instructing him to sort of like play, get the ball and drive us up the pitch. You know, he wanted someone who could break their press. Odegaard took some criticism in certain elements of social media over the weekend for his performance, but I thought his composure when he came on, he did perform a role and get the team up the pitch. So I think overall I thought it was a good performance by Odegaard.
I was happy with it.
And I thought that did get us back into the game. So they had a very good period, 20 minutes into the second half, where they dominated but didn't take their chances. A mixture of good defending, good goalkeeping, and probably finishing that they could have done better. But then we slowly but surely wrestled it back to a more even second half. Odegaard, I think, was key to that. And in the last 20 minutes, we had that incident we're going to talk about at the end where should Johnny Evans have been sent off? We saw instances over the weekend where last man defenders were sent off. But obviously he got away with it with a yellow. But and that came, I think, because we were playing counter-attack but getting more up the pitch more, and I think Odegaard was key to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, we're about 20 minutes into the show. We've not even mentioned the goals, so let's get into it. Gabriel, set piece. I don't think a lot to say on it. I mean, Gabriel's terrific, and we're going to go through his numbers in a bit. But, you know, another goal from a set piece. Saka and Smith Rowe delivering. And I think the person who's really delivering is Nicholas Yova, have I got his name?
I think so, yeah.
New set piece coach, came in from Man City, a guy Arteta knew. And you know he's made a really fast impact. I mean, what's that? 4 or 5 goals from set pieces, or at least maybe not quite directly from all of them.
5 goals from corners in the last 4 games, James. I just checked it up.
This is why I love having Graham here.
But he's made a big, massive difference. And I think just quickly, modern football is so well coached now that corners and set plays are a crucial part of football. And if you can score from corners and set plays, which we were never great at before. It's really crucial. And the thing I like, Smith Rowe and Saka both delivering really good set plays.
Yeah, really good cross into the box.
Great header by Gabriel. Really I love the way White runs across the front, takes players away. Leicester marking zonally. Don't agree with zonal marking, but that's how they mark up. And that created space for Gabriel. Love the way he finished it off the back of his head, James.
It was good, and I've said
he scores from corners, doesn't he?
He scores from corners. I've been saying for a long time that I want to see Arsenal give teams other things to worry about. That when you concede a corner against Arsenal, go back a month ago, it was probably, okay, good, all right, we'll deal with this, easy. But now it's, okay, we've got to switch on. We're asking different questions at the opposition. And it's nice to see us scoring different goals. The goal I enjoyed the most, though, was this one here that we're going to break down now. We're going from the moment Saka has it, and there's a lot of, you know, the build-up breaks down, we win it back, it's a lovely ball from Partey. There's a lot of really good stuff that happens here. But we wanted to touch on Smith Rowe and how, again, on what we said about the build-up and what we said about Arteta not compromising too much on principles. Smith Rowe, who's a left winger, if you're looking purely at shape and formation and you know, looking at what's on paper, he's still appearing in really dangerous positions that a number 10 would. And he does so for the goal here. Let's play it through. I mean, we've got here Saka coming through. We see Lacazette tries to take them on. Thomas with the clearance that falls to Smith Rowe, and he puts it away. What did you enjoy most about this goal, Graham?
I thought, first of all, Leicester very slack, gave the ball away. Wonderful pass from Partey. I love the way Saka. Leicester a little bit passive, sitting off maybe, but I love the way Saka drives it in. If you see him with the ball there, over to Laka. Now, when Laka comes in, it's a bit fortunate actually, James, because it breaks very kindly for us, I thought. But the thing I love about it is Smith Rowe had the energy to get there. And he took his chance and finished it well, and he's now scored in consecutive games, hasn't he? And an interesting stat over the weekend that whenever he's scored a goal for Arsenal, we've not lost a game.
And that is one of the good stats that we're definitely going to mention. I keep saying we're going to be mentioning everything at the end. You're probably thinking, when is all this stuff coming through? Listen, let's go into all
Great goal, and that put us firmly in control of the game.
Absolutely. Now, let's go into some of these other stats and numbers, starting with Aaron Ramsdale. We can't go through this whole show without talking about Aaron Ramsdale. And people who will say Arsenal rode their luck, whatever, that's why you spend the money. That is exactly why you spend the money, because we're a young team. We're a pretty inexperienced team in a lot of key areas. You're going to have moments where a side as good as Leicester are going to cause you problems. And that's why you spend the money. Money we all questioned. But look at that, as you said, in 7 appearances, 5 wins, 4 clean sheets, no defeats. But there were some other really good numbers that you were impressed by.
Yeah, I mean, I've got his overall record here. He's now played 7 games, won 5, 4 clean sheets. He's conceded 4 goals, but 28 shots saved, 28 shots faced, 24 saves made.
Yeah.
85.7 save percentage. Only Mendy in the Premier League has got a better record than that.
Yeah.
2.6 goals prevented. Against Leicester, 8 on-target shots faced, 8 saves made, 2.4 goals prevented based on XGOT conceded. I'm going to explain that, James.
Yeah.
XGOT is expected goals on target. Measures the likelihood of an on-target shot resulting in a goal based on the combination of the underlying chance and the location of the shot in the goal mouth. He's now made the most saves of any goalkeeper in an away game, Premier League game this season.
Wow.
And his save from Maddison, Peter Schmeichel tweeted on Saturday, was the best save he's seen for years.
Yeah. Now,
high praise from the legend, probably the greatest ever Premier League goalkeeper.
It's unbelievable praise, especially when his son was playing in the other goal.
Yeah.
But and who am I? I mean, I've played football, but it's a no great level. Nor was I even a goalkeeper. So who am I to question it? But I thought his save against Spurs was better, personally. There was something about the deflection. I don't even know if it took a deflection, but the dip, the ball was a bit weird. He's moving back, and something about it, I thought, that for me was save of the season. But the Maddison one was so special as well.
A friend of mine was in the stadium and said to me on Saturday that the save on telly, it didn't do it justice when you saw it on telly.
I second that, by the way.
Because I watched it, and when it left Maddison's foot, you almost immediately think goal, don't you?
Yeah.
That's going in.
Yeah.
Now, some idiots like Jason Cunday, ex-Chelsea, ex-Tottenham defender, talks shite, basically. Talks sport shite, whatever I called him. Basically, I really was on Jason Cunday because he said because it wasn't in the corner, it wasn't a great save. But this is a guy who couldn't even defend a corner. Let's be honest. But and I think
love it when Graham's
so disrespectful. Whenever an Arsenal player does something, he gets discredited. I thought it was a top save, and I'd rather trust Peter Schmeichel over Jason Cunday. And when he says it's the best save he is by best save he's seen for years by Ramsdale, Jason Cunday, he doesn't mean by Ramsdale for years, he means by years. And the reason why I say that is because, let's face it, Ramsdale hasn't been playing for years. He's only been at the top level for 2 years. Unless, of course, Cundy was watching him for Wimbledon, for 2 or 3 seasons. So maybe. I think that's so disrespectful. I thought it was a great save. Doesn't have to be right in the top corner to be a great save.
Yeah.
And I love the way he explained it, Ramsdale, in his post-match, where he said it was a case of, for a goalkeeper, it has to be explosion, and you have to get there. Sometimes you don't get there.
Yeah.
And the other good thing we need to mention is once he made that save and tipped it onto the crossbar, he got up to make a second save because Johnny Evans, who was on the ground again, was trying to force it in over the line, and he diverted it onto the post and then partly cleared it. So a double save by Ramsdale.
Yeah.
He made 8 saves in that game. He was just unbeatable.
Yeah, I thought he was absolutely superb.
Deserves every credit, not to be disrespected by the likes of Jason Cundy.
There you go. Graham's
ex-footballer, apparently.
Let's move on.
No credit. He's just totally uncreditable comment, an uncreditable pundit.
I do completely agree that we can't downplay, that save, but how unbelievable he was in that match. I mean, very rarely does Robbie give him a 10, or give players a 10 in player ratings. He was very close to a 10 with Ramsdale, and rightly so. We've spoken about Ramsdale, man of the match, deservedly so. Gabriel I thought was superb as well. We've got some of his numbers here. 44 touches in the game, 36 passes, an 81% pass accuracy, 7 clearances, 5 aerial wins. A stat that doesn't exist, but I kind of wish it did.
Well,
how would we describe it? I would describe it as breaking sweat, probably not once. He makes the game look so easy, Gabriel. I don't know what it is. obviously he's physically very gifted, he's quick, he's strong, but I just felt he just dealt with everything. And Iheanacho, we saw his form in the last season, can be a very good player on his day. We know Vardy for years has been doing it now in the Premier League. Maddison, we know what he's capable of. I just felt, yeah, we had to weather a bad spell, but I just felt Gabriel, everything he was personally dealing with, I thought he was superb. I said in my fan cam, he's one of the best centre-backs in the league. He's only 23, so if you don't think he is, that's fine. But I would dispute strongly with anyone that he's not going to be in the coming years. He's a monster. I love him.
He's a colossus, and I've got some stats here. Arsenal's Premier League record with or without Gabriel, courtesy of WhoScored.com. Premier League with Gabriel, 29 matches, 1-16, 5 draws, 8 defeats, a win ratio of 55.2%, goals conceded 0.93 per game. This season, his pass success rate 88.3%, only second to Emil Smith-Rowe on 90%. Clearances, he averages 4.4 clearances per 90 minutes, is the best at the club. 4 clean sheets in his 7 appearances this season. Without Gabriel James in the team, won 7, drew 4, lost 8.
Yeah.
Win ratio drops to 36.8, goals conceded 1.32 per game.
Yeah.
We are a better team with him in it, and he's an immense player.
Yeah.
And he is just, with Benjamin White, they are absolutely proving to be great signings. I mean, I say signings because White is the signing for this season. Remember, Gabriel came last season, but feels almost like he's a new player at times, and that's a great new combination, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's fly through some final stuff. Arsenal's last 7 Premier League results. We're going to have them here on screen. Obviously, wins at Norwich, Burnley. Wins at the Emirates against Norwich. Win at Burnley. A win at Leicester as well. The away record's improving. Obviously, we get a point at Brighton. We struggled in that game, but we did find a way to get a point. Things have massively turned around. And
this is since he's got his players in, isn't it?
Right, exactly.
Since the transfer window. And he did say, judge me after. And Edu's taken a lot of stick. We give Edu some stick, so we hold our hands up. Even gave an Arteta some stick, but he said, judge us when we get these players on the pitch.
Yeah.
And on Saturday, 5 of his 6 new signings played. The 6th player come on a sub. So since he's had his players in and changed the whole dynamics of the team, James, you've seen an upturn in results. So you have to give enormous credit to Arteta and Edu. They've got I questioned a lot in the past Arsenal's recruitment as being shocking. I've said it over the years. The likes of your Mustafis, your Socrates, your Luizes, even Xhaka, who I thought was poor recruitment, in my opinion. Some people disagree. But the recruitment, whatever you say, they've got a strategy. I can remember Gary Neville saying at the start of the season, didn't understand Arsenal's strategy. Well, it's clear now, isn't it, Gary, that the strategy is a young team offering energy and dynamism, and the results reflect that. And I think credit to Arteta and Edu.
Absolutely.
Results.
We have so much we wanted to talk about in this show. Hopefully, if we beat Watford, we might have to go through some more of the stuff from today, because there's been some lovely stats and some lovely stuff to break down from Arsenal. Big credit to Arteta. Now, there was a stat that we saw going around online that you wanted to mention. We'll round off the show with it. That it took Arteta 15 games to reach 17 points last season. He's managed it in 10 this campaign. Yeah, he's definitely turned it around. He has, and I think we're also looking at the first team that he played when he first came into the club, which is nearly 2 years ago now. And it's very interesting to see the change from that team. Yeah, how he's got rid of a lot of the deadwood. He's got rid of a lot of the older senior players, brought youth through. The team at Bournemouth on just after Christmas 2019 was his first game in charge, James. Yeah. Now, in that team on that day, the whole back 5 has now changed. Leno was in goal, Maitland-Niles was at right back, Luiz and Socrates were in defence, and Saka was playing at left back that day. Yeah. We had Torreira and Xhaka in central mid, Ozil played at 10, Nelson on the right, Aubameyang on the left, and Lacazette up top. Only 3 players from that team surviving at the moment to play at Leicester on Saturday, albeit I know Xhaka is injured at the moment. Tierney is obviously will be a player who also possibly be in that side, but he's also injured at the moment. Interesting then the way this is now Arteta's team, and as it was his day on Saturday, who do you think was in goal for Bournemouth that day? I'm imagining Aaron Ramsdale.
Aaron Ramsdale.
There you go.
That's the first time you saw him, probably, was it?
Yeah, well, I imagine. Well, unless it was City, but yeah.
We don't need to say he was man of the match this week, do we?
No, we don't. I think he definitely was.
But that's a great way to sort of bring the show to a conclusion this week. Aaron Ramsdale, I think has identified with the fans. The fans love him.
Yeah, for sure.
He's improved the team. I love the way he talks almost like a senior pro.
Yeah, he does. He talks like he's been in the club for a long
His personality,
time.
his character,
Yeah.
is just fantastic. I see the camera switch to Bert Leno on Saturday when he made that save. Well, penny for Bert Leno's faults, because I think he's ended Leno's career at Arsenal.
He might well have. But Aaron Ramsdale, superb. Gabriel, superb. Mikel Arteta, superb. Let us know in the comment section, guys. Is this the way forward now? Is it a 4-4-2? You know, do you think Arteta's compromised massively on his tactics, or has he just evolved slightly what he was doing before? Graham, as always, will be in the comment section. I'll try to be a bit more as well this week. We'll be discussing with you guys. Let us know your man of the match and what you want to see against Watford. I mean, we got, Sunderland in the quarterfinals of the Carabao Cup. We're up to 6.
Well, you almost feel our names on the guy, a West Ham fan, who Matty Harris. I love him to bits. He's by the way, big up West Ham at the moment.
Yeah.
What a fantastic performance yesterday at Villa. A great run they're on. They've beaten the 2 Manchester clubs. Flying in that Carabao Cup.
Yeah.
He said, I think your name's on the cup. So we're getting the luck with the cup draw. So hopefully we can. And actually, just the Sunderland manager said he wanted to play Arsenal. He wanted to play the bigger teams in the semis, didn't he?
He's got his wish.
He's got his wish, and I will
wish.
say one thing to him: he's just lucky that Charlton Athletic went out early. Well, the reason I'm saying it is Charlton turned them over in the league a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, okay. All right, there we go. Well, look, guys, that's been the Tactical Insight Show. Thank you so much for joining. Don't forget to like, subscribe, all that. Engage with us in the comments. And yeah, we'll be back next week. Hopefully, it'll be 3 wins out of 4 for this international break going into the next. And yeah, things will be looking good for Arsenal. Imagine if we beat Watford, we'll be in or at least around the top 4. Let's see. Thank you as always, Graham.
Thanks, James.
And we'll see you next week.